Hello, once again, I'm Doc Rodden, and this is Horror News Radio, the official Gruesome Magazine podcast. Back with me again this week are the scariest, goriest, bloodiest co-hosts on the net, and tonight we're reviewing 30 Coins, a horror series. Streaming on HBO Max, we're going to be reviewing the first 2 episodes. Oh my. Let me introduce the rest of the crew, starting off with award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Moore. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm glad I could watch a series that makes me less likely to have any coins in my pocket anytime soon.
Yes, certainly. Okay, scary, kind of scary. We're going to get into it. You guys want to stick around for this. All right, also joining us, podcasting rock star and international cosplay queen, Vanessa Thompson. Vanessa, how you doing?
Hola. Hola. Nombre de Padre Santo. Yeah, like all that after watching this.
Yeah, because this is a Spanish series. HBO International is what I saw the little card. I think it wasn't, or Europe. HBO
Europe. I think it was HBO Europe. Yeah,
HBO Europe. So, but it actually, they've been promoting this on HBO Max, and they dropped 2 episodes on its first week, and we're going to talk about those now. So, what we're going to do is our first impressions. Those first impressions will be spoiler free. Once they're over and we get into discussion, we're going to drop the spoilers, and we'll do another spoiler announcement before that, and then we'll get at the end of the show, we'll do our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. Of course, the favorite scene is probably just going to be spoiler heavy, but it's on HBO Max. You should be watching it. We'll just start off there. If you want to stop and go watch 2.5 hours of awesome goodness, do that and then come back. But let's talk about the episode. Let's throw the card. And Vanessa, I'm doing something a little different tonight. You'll see why. I'm going to throw this card over to you. Tell us about 30 Coins.
Yes, 30 Coins. HBO Max, as we said, in its native tongue, 30 monedas. Dropped on January 4th, so it's been out for a little while. And today we're going to cover episodes 1 and 2, which dropped on the at the same time. And actually, at the time of recording this, episode 3 is out, and I can't wait to watch it.
Yes.
Synopsis reads: an exiled priest tries to escape his demons while living in a remote village in Spain. There's a lot more to that story. Directed by Álex de la Iglesia. Written by Jorge. This is the one that got me last time. Guerricaechevarría and Álex de la Iglesia. And the cast includes Eduard Fernández, Megan Montaner, and Miguel Ángel Silvestre.
Yeah, see, I could not have done any of that. Thank you all so much. That was actually quite beautiful. All right, so what we're going to do now is our first impressions. And you did such a great job. We're going to start off with you.
Gracias.
What did you think? Is this what you wanted? We talked about this on our January gruesome guide.
Yes.
And you were excited then, were you not?
Yeah, I was excited then. I am more excited now. This has turned out to be so much more than I could have anticipated it to be. It's so much more robust than I thought it was going to be. It leans more into the telenovela kind of soap opera vibe sometimes, but that just makes it that much more enjoyable to watch. I love this badass priest that we have. He is he's hiding a lot, and I love it. And I love that we're trying to figure that out, and he's figuring things out along the way. I love the setting of this little town in Spain, this little, as they call it themselves, hick town in Spain that they're trying to regentrify, and all these crazy, things of biblical proportions are beginning to happen in this town, and no one understands why. And the horror, the gore is 110-20% in your face. Awesome. You can tell that they've combined practical effects and special effects, and they've done it so well. And there were many times where I was just glued to the screen trying to get a closer look at, like, what was that? What did I just see?
from the get-go.
From the get-go that happens. And all the little moments of humor that they fit in there, and all the little like cheeky moments that they have in there, and then even the things that are specifically for the Spanish culture. People who of Latin descent or history or have grown up around Latino people are going to recognize and pick up on. Like, it's just so well done. And I've said it already, but I really, really like how it kind of feels like Supernatural in a way. They're leaning into that camp a little. They know when they're like thumbing their nose up at the audience. And this feels that way too, in such like a, not like an endearing way, but such an I know kind of way. And I'm glad that I know kind of way. And even just the last scene in episode 2, the way I just perfect so far to me, this as a horror show on HBO of that is Latino, it's just amazing.
Yes. Yes. All right, Christopher G. Moore, you're up next. Now, what's interesting is you texted me when this trailer came out and said, hey, are we covering this? And I said, yeah, let's do it. And then I watched the trailer and went, yeah, let's do it. Did it live up to your expectations, sir?
And more. You know, I mean, the one of the guys who directed it, he directed a movie called Witchin' and Bitchin'. I don't know if you ever saw that. It's a really sort of a great film. And I think this series, just the first episode would have been one of my new favorites of the year as a movie, if it was a movie. And this is an episode of a series.
Mm-hmm.
So
the pilot
itself is better than, you know, is one of my new favorite movies of 2021.
It was an hour and a half long. So.
Well, it was an hour and a half long, and it's better than a lot of films. And this is a pilot episode. You could have just ended it there, and I'm like, bravo. But yeah, I mean, it definitely has that sort of monster of the week type thing, which we've seen in like for the Vampire Slayer, Charmed, you know, Supernatural, X-Files. It has all those things, but I'm a sucker for those type of things in general. And then tying in the sort of the biblical aspect of it made me really interested. I mean, there was a movie, I think from many years ago, I think it was Dracula 2000, that kind of tied in a biblical aspect with Judas into the vampire aesthetic. And this one, you know, has it definitely, I feel it has some Evil Dead vibes as well. It has a little bit of Ash versus Evil Dead, you know, not as goofy, but it has some of that as well. Even some ties to the Evil Dead remake with the second episode. But yeah, I loved this show so much. I think, you know, there's a lot of sort of like biblical and Christian stuff that I kind of put in some of my movies. It's usually an underlying thing. So I love the way they tie that in, and just, you know, and the cinematography. There's like a Spielberg use of light sources in this, to where they sort of almost like, they almost have like an ethereal look to them, whether it's flashlights or lights on like an ambulance. Just the cinematography and how they shoot things in this, and yeah, and like Vanessa was saying, the actors and stuff. I mean, I was actually I think the first time I watched it, when the mayor showed up, I was like, that's the guy from Sense8. I don't know if you guys saw that series, where he played a telenovela type actor in like like Spanish telenovela.
Although, well, like we were saying, his wife was the princess in Dagon. If anyone out there has seen that one, yes. It's nice to see familiar faces like that.
Although the main girl, Lena, she's my, is it Lena?
Lena.
She's my new favorite crush. Let's just add it to the list.
Crush of the week.
Crush of the week. But yeah, I really love. Yeah, I love the story elements. I love the actors, all the actors in it. I mean, like Vanessa said, the priest is a badass guy. He's like hitting a punching bag while he's smoking a cigarette. Like, he might as well be like, you know, Bruce Willis in Die Hard as a priest, you know.
With tattoos.
Yeah, and then later on,
yeah.
I don't want to give anything away, but anyway, he has a lot of mysteries around him that showed like, oh gosh, this guy's not playing this. He's not just playing with holy water. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of, and then just, yeah, the production design there's a use of yarn in the first episode. Like, wow, they turned yarn and made it creepy. So yeah, I don't know. It you have the possession aspect of it, which reminds me of the Evil Dead aspect of it to some degree. And then I know I could yammer on, but it's I love this series so much. It's my new favorite thing. Out
of nowhere.
HBO keeps hitting out of the park with the supernatural horror stuff.
They do. Lovecraft Country, now this. All right, I love this as well. It absolutely is a beautiful show to watch. It actually is scary. Now that's kind of cool. I mean, it's not. Well, no, it's scary. There are some moments in here that are white knuckle tense. We'll get into that during our discussion, but there are some monsters in here that are disturbing. There's gross out scenes that are, for some, will be very difficult to watch. That involve a knife. We'll leave it there. It is. It's very character driven. There's a lot of mystery to it. Like you said, cinematography makes it look beautiful. It surprised me. I felt like it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be great. It really is. Real quick before we wrap this section up, there's just so you know, there's 3 main characters. There's Padre Vergara, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And Elena, and then Paco. Paco is he's the mayor of this small little town, and then
wimpy mayor.
Well, yeah, he's wimpy, but he's beefy.
Wimpy buff mayor.
I know.
Wow. He's not breaking his arm.
I know, he's like hot mayor. Well, this hot mayor. And then Elena is like a vet, a super vet.
The town vet.
She's like the best vet ever, is in this little teeny town. It's a really interesting trio of characters, and there's a lot of like undercurrent going on, and they're a lot of fun to watch. Really well cast, really well acted, and yeah, Padre Vergara is might be one of my new favorite characters in a long time. He is totally badass.
Yeah, he is.
So that's our first impressions. Now we're going to deep dive into the discussion. So a little spoiler warning here, because, well, we can't do that without jumping into the spoilers. So go watch the show and come back and listen to the rest, because you don't want to miss this. Let's talk about that damn baby. All right, so the show starts off with a cow giving birth to a child. Shocking.
Human child.
Unexpected. A human child. Yes, I guess we should clarify.
Supposedly human.
Supposedly human child.
It's just a demon with child flesh on it, I guess is a better way.
But so yeah, this is like a what is it? Meat flesh? Meat skin? What I liked about it was it's disturbing, and I love the idea that they tried to pull it off as being faked for a good portion of the show. And
and I think that's probably the best part of the show, is that whenever these crazy things happen, they're always like, well, this, whether it's the baby thing or any of that kind of stuff, they're like, well, this could be happening, or this person could be lying about this, or blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. There's always an explanation, like we would find, in normal things where people try to pick stuff apart, like there's a ghost in this video, and like, is it really a ghost? You can see the string,
Yeah. The logical explanation.
Yeah. So like the switching out of, just because the camera goes away for 1 second, that gives enough, doubt to where like, okay, well, somebody could just shoved a baby into that.
Well, especially coming from the priest, right? Then
the priest.
Okay, so let's just say the priest, Padre Vergara, he's gaslighting everybody, right? He's basically
to a certain extent, I think he is.
He's like, no, it's not. Did you really see that? I don't think you did.
Yeah.
Like when that baby walks out from under the shadows. Okay, first, it's a baby. It's like 2 days old. It walks out. Now that alone is freaky. But the fact that it's like 4 feet tall or something like that makes it even
a massive baby.
Oh my God, that was was disturbing.
It really was.
That was disturbing.
It was very disturbing. Yeah. because because it was like it still was kind of dressed as a baby, so it was so off-putting, you know what I mean? Because it just felt like a little, it felt like a little person wearing like a baby flesh onesie, and it was so creepy.
Yeah.
And for the woman to be coddling it, and you see like the husband like, okay.
Well, it still made baby noises too.
Yeah. And it's like, although later on you hear like the baby noises, and they kind of change the baby noise with this element of monster noise with it.
They did. What sold it for me was Megan Montaner as Elena, because her reaction to it, her reactions throughout this two episodes are just.
She's gonna have to be put in a loony bin by the end of this series.
They instill fear. They instill fear when she's trapped in the confessional. Oh my god! Oh my god!
First of all, you thought the little man baby was bad enough, but now you got like this freaking spider monster with a monster mouth with the baby head inside the monster mouth.
Giant baby head.
Oh God. I was like, this is pure nightmare material.
This is the thing, right? This is
basically it felt like
a scorpion
thing. If the thing had like eaten a baby and a spider, it would have made this thing. And it was like when it's coming up and it's like it's getting all that little baby, it was like the xenomorph. If the xenomorph had a baby head instead of a little xenomorph mouth, it was just like, oh God, it's babies' faces are supposed to be cute. There's nothing. It's like a little baby doll face. It reminded me of the thing from Toy Story, the next door neighbor that had like the little rector Saturn thing with the robot. On it. I was like, this is the most creepy thing I've ever seen, and I was literally like, oh God, I'm like cringing. This is I don't know what I would do if that came up in my face like that.
The same thing as Elena. Scream.
I know, I'm screaming.
Scream and try to get out.
No matter if you're a guy, girl, or non-binary or whatever, you're gonna scream.
You're gonna scream. Another moment in that whole scene is when we see, I can't remember the mother's name. The mother of the baby, the one who was going crazy and made the little thing to control it. I can't remember her name, but there's a moment where she's in the church and she walks up and there's a beam of light coming down and there's stairs behind her and there's haze and she's in shadow, and it is this shot for shot duplication of The Exorcist, and it's so beautiful, and they linger on that for a moment so that you can really see it. And she's saying something, like, you know what we want, as you know, because the whole thing we begin to find out is they're trying to trace down these coins, and he's aware of the presence of one of these coins.
It's Carmen.
Yeah, Carmen. Yes, Carmen. I knew it was with a C. I couldn't remember. Yeah, Carmen. Crazy ass Carmen.
Crazy Carmen.
Her knitting skills.
Knitting needles that she knits freaking spider webs out of yarn.
Just stabs people.
And then like hangs them upside down and wraps them in yarn.
Wild. Unique and original.
I mean like that. I've never
an original.
I've never seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
Although the whole time I'm like, man, I guess that possession power gives you the ability to lift these full men up and hang them upside down.
Yeah, super strength.
But at the same time, I guess she can get her little spider baby to do it. But yeah, when they go to that house and the whole house is full of those yarn spider webs, I mean, I'd be like, I'm getting back in the car.
And what a way to do that too. It could be so cheesy and so not scary, but it was really scary.
Well, that and you also have they do the thing like they do in I guess they've done it in Exorcist, but they do it a lot in the Evil Dead films to where they're like, oh, don't hurt me, and they're like, and then they change to whatever demons possessing them, and then they're like, oh, I know what you're doing. I just love that, and also the John Wick moment where the Reverend the priest takes her into that back room, and it's like this whole wall of
Yes.
guns and
Yeah.
weapons.
Yeah.
Although he
I
should
forgot
put like
about that.
a holy water thing in there if he's got a, if he's got.
But that was more for the visual.
Yeah,
It needed to be seen. The act.
That's true. That's true.
Oh man.
Yeah. Now so we're just talking about the first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we skipped over one particular disturbing scene where I think it's Antonio or something like that has the baby.
Antonio, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was tense too.
Taking him. Yeah.
No! Oh my gosh. It was
tense.
That was tense.
Tense. But now in hindsight, you're like, we should let him do it.
I didn't think about that way, but you're right. So episode 2,
it's like, oops, I accidentally tripped you.
Episode 2 is what, like 5 months later or 6 months later? Even
I have to go back to episode 1 real quick though.
Okay.
We jumped to episode 2. I loved. I don't know if they were intentionally breaking the fourth wall or what they were doing, but that scene at the very end where they pan out from his face, from the priest's face, and he's looking directly at the camera. Do you remember? It was so intense.
Just that look on his face.
He's like zoning out.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. So episode 2, the seekers of the coins return in strange fashion with a Ouija board. Christopher's favorite.
I was like, when I saw the name of it, I was like, I am not down with what these people are doing this episode. I was like, what are you doing? Yeah, it's bad enough you're doing a Ouija board, but you go into like a freaking cemetery doing it on a grave. You guys are stupid. You deserve to be kidnapped into the netherworld. You're gonna do that. I know. It's like, no, you're stupid. First of all, you're stealing alcohol from your workplace.
His father worked.
Yeah,
was he pissed?
Yeah. I was like, this is not going to end well. Not going to end well. Yeah, I was the whole time. I'm like, nope.
I think this is one of the best Ouija movies ever. This is the best use of a Ouija board, the most real, authentic feeling use of a Ouija board, because I really, when they're doing that and the candles blow out and everything goes dark, I was like, the whole time, like, what's happening? Because normally I just think it's stupid. Like, oh, it's so stupid. They're going to do the Ouija thing. Ghosts are going to come, whatever. But this is, again, turning it kind of on its ear and doing it in a little different way that just made it feel so real. Like, all of this almost feels documentary in a way. Like, what we're seeing could actually be the events unfolding in a town, 50 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, it was made like a mystery because everybody's trying to figure out what happened to Soleil, right? Because she disappears.
They even made like texting creepy.
Yeah,
I mean, and I do love how they work. I do love how they work. That social media is a very important part of this community, even though it's like a very small town, because they're like, the mayor's always worrying, like, don't put this on your Facebook. They're gonna make fun of me on Twitter. Don't put it on Instagram. They're like, I mean, there's like all these mentions of like social media, and then like when there's a whole texting thing, which I think comes off very creepy and really well crafted. I mean, I love that aspect of it because it just shows you how, because sometimes they try to shy away from it, but because they're so tied into it, to where, and I think you mentioned it I think we talked about this before we even went on here, Vanessa, but I love the aspect of it that even though this is like I'm in America, I could relate to these people in this small town because they're talking about, we don't want people to think we're hicks.
Yeah.
we don't want to be known as the town that had that a cow gave birth to a baby, a human baby. Or we don't look like a bunch of hicks, they're supernatural, or blah blah blah. I love that aspect because it's like just like here with us in North Carolina, like we don't want to look like rednecks, So I love that aspect of that, to where like even though this takes place in a different country, we can still relate to the same type of issues, to where you don't really want other people to think about you in a certain way, especially when it comes to social media and how people will misrepresent something that happens, or you'll post that picture, and then that's all you're known. You become a meme, like, oh, this is the town where a cow gave birth to a human baby.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is I thought they were going to go a certain direction. I think somebody mentioned a ghost, but they don't. Soleil returns, but she's different.
Yeah, I was like,
it's different, and she can see these auras, and we spend a few scenes with her saying, "Sorry, you're going to die today."
Mm-hmm.
And the other guy's like, "What?"
Well, you know what it feels like? It feels like almost feels like a monkey paw type thing. And maybe it has something to do with these coins, to where like you have certain wishes, like, oh, we lost our kid, but what if you brought our kid back? But then it's not the same. It's like you never get exactly, there's always some kind of catch to what you wish for. And she wanted her mom back.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there was a catch to that. So it almost feels like there's some kind of
a way for them to manipulate.
Yeah, because they know that you have some kind of thing that you really want or that you desire.
So them, let's talk about, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you mentioned them. Let's talk about them for a hot second before we wrap things up, because we get like a hint at what them could be here visually. There's like a weird little stinger at the beginning, and I'm not really sure how closely it ties to these shadows and hands and stuff we see. There was one was particularly scary or shocking, maybe it's a better word, but during the second seance, when all the hands show up and she looks up and they're all standing around, and it was just a shocking way of presenting them. What do we think about that? Because it ends with one talking to Antonio, and
the bishops.
They're bishops, right? But are they good bishops or bad bishops?
I'm
so confused.
It's what Antonio says. He's like, we will welcome the sorry. I'm trying to think of words. Words are hard. But the return of Judas, of Judas's bloodline. So yeah, these are the bad guys who have infiltrated, I think this is my theory, who've infiltrated Catholicism, trying to collect these coins that Judas was paid to, give up Jesus, to give them whatever powers they're somewhat having. I don't know how many coins they have. I guess we saw they got one right in the beginning. At least one, maybe two. It looked like, but if they're collecting these, does their power multiply each time they have one, right? Until they have them all. Terrifying.
Well, that and we have that really cool opening scene, where it's almost like demon possession version of John Wick, where he's just taking bullets, and it's like a little bit red heat,
red heat.
Not red heat, dead heat.
Dead heat, yeah. I know what you meant.
You know what I meant. But yeah, it's because they had something on a necklace. Was that one of the coins?
I think so. And then maybe they were using that to control that guy and give him,
because you have that one priest who's like, he's wearing sunglasses. He's like, I think he even wears gloves. He's like Mr. Cool Priest or something.
He looked pretty disturbing, just being normal.
But yeah, but it's almost like, there's like, I don't know if they're just like this underlying part of the Catholic Church that are secretly
secret sect,
evil, like a secret sect. Although there's that one part where they're playing like a real version of Battleship or something. I don't know what
that was great.
They're shooting little cannons at each other. These huge.
That was
ships. Funny. So yeah, I think we're starting to learn about that. Maybe it's one of those things where you could really take over the world or something if you can gather all 30 coins together. That you would like, I'm sure we're going to find out.
But to get back to Soul real quick before we wrap up, she has two great scenes. One is the knife to the mouth scene, and then whatever the hell happened in that room when the roof came off.
Yeah, that was intense, right?
What was that?
That was
Well, that was like another like Evil Dead moment.
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
it?
Like with a Necromonicon type
Everything,
thing.
yeah, spinning around, coming out, and then when it comes all the way back, as if maybe it was just an illusion, a projection in their mind.
Oh, I'll know, but the other guy was outside the building after that.
Yeah,
He did
wasn't
get
there
thrown
anymore,
out.
right?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did get.
But is he the same person?
Oh no, but man, she was brutal with him. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Scary. Okay, the scene with her and the knife in the mouth is going to disturb a lot of
Oh,
people. There
yeah.
are going to be people that
It was very, very remake Evil Dead-ish.
I mean, it
But I think the
That's
main
so
thing is like
slow.
when she puts it in her cheek, and you're like, oh, the I don't know if anticipation is the right word because you don't want her to do it, but it was like so tense.
Well, we didn't even talk about that either.
I
Like
know.
that was freaking crazy.
Because then, when she pops that out, like, oh, and
Yeah.
like the little, you can see the teeth peeking
Hanging
through.
down.
Oh,
I love how when she was to the side, you could see all the way through her
yeah,
mouth.
yeah, you could see that. I mean, it's some really good special effects with that.
Really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Terrifying stuff. All right, let's wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5 for both episodes as a whole, or the prospect of the series, if you will, and our favorite scene. Oh my gosh. All right, if you're still with us, thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying this. Do us a big favor. It's really easy. Just takes one little click the subscribe button. If you'd like, we'd love to hear some comments. You can also hit the like button if you're feeling froggy. Just fine. All right, let's jump into this. Let's do our final thoughts, our favorite scene, and our score 1 to 5. You're up first, Vanessa. Hit it.
Me gustó mucho. I liked it a lot. I love the that it's a Latino based production. I love that it's taking place in Spain. I love that it's dealing with Catholicism and weaving these new dark stories into it, and taking the story of the 30 coins that were paid to Judas. Like I such a creative idea, and you really see so many things done. It's not a new topic that they're covering, good versus evil, possession, all that kind of stuff is not new, but the way that they're doing it, they're presenting it in a new way, and it's fresh and it's interesting and it's surprising, and I haven't felt disappointed, and I haven't felt bored. And this is 2.5 hours in already, and I'm really like ready for the next one already.
Yes,
it doesn't drag. It keeps you, I will have to say, you're gonna have to be a genre fan for this. I don't know if this is gonna appeal to everybody out there, but for genre fans, I think you're really gonna love it. Yeah, everything that we've said so far this past half hour just is like my love letter to this, because it's really struck me in a way that is just, it just has stood out as something so unique to me. And I'm just kind of like Lovecraft Country did, something different and unique and genre. And I'm just really loving it. That's what I needed after last week. Like really, really. I'm giving this one a 5 right now.
Nice.
This series is a 5 to me. And favorite scene, I'm going to go ahead and say the reveal of the spider baby. When we see Spider Baby face, and he's got Elena pinned in that confessional, that was intense and terrifying, and I loved the homage to The Thing. And I'm sure decades worth of horror films that involve that kind of monster, but it's just it was done in such a creepy way, and I loved the creativity of that monster, that face, and the baby sounds were so terrifying. I would definitely be screaming and turn into a crazy person after seeing something like that.
Perfect. All right, Christopher T. Moore, you're up next. Your final thoughts, your score and favorite scene?
You know what? I binge watched these first 2 episodes together pretty quickly. I didn't want it to end, so I could have easily binge watched the whole series. I'd probably not gotten any sleep in the process, but But yeah, I think this series is really well crafted. The mayor does get on my nerves a little bit because he's such a wuss when it comes to like his image. But I think you have this guy who's just a very handsome man, and for him to be such a wussy about things, I think that's it creates a very interesting character when he's always concerned about his image, even though he keeps putting himself in certain situations that don't help his image, or keeps making it seem like he's cheating on his wife because of it. But yeah, I mean, the pilot episode alone is one of my favorite movies of the year, just based on the pilot. So, and then it just makes me interested to see where they go from here. And I really want to learn more about this secret organization, this weird sort of secret sect of the Catholic Church, what they're all about. They're able to do this sort of like show up as shadows and stuff. I mean, there's there's so much really wonderful visual cinematography on this show. And there's a good amount of like CGI stuff. There's still some practical stuff as well, but I think the way they meld it and do it, it doesn't really make you pay attention to it in a bad way. I think it ups the creep factor, especially when you get to the spider baby portion, which is, I think,
creepy.
I think it's one of the best creatures I've seen in a while, to where they, it's you can sort of see where they might have been inspired by different things, but they create their own thing and just and create a nightmare image. I don't really want to ever have a nightmare wake up to, because I'll just crap my pants in the bed. But yeah, it's some great performance by the actors. The way the story plays out is really well done. And yeah, they do a great job of like creating some very tense moments, and some, really sort of scare worthy and interesting moments. And, and we have a badass priest too. So yeah, it's, I definitely would get a 5 out of 5 for these first 2 episodes. I think if they just made a movie off the first one, I would have been happy. But to know there's more episodes, I don't know how many more episodes we have in this season, but I'm really excited to see what happens next.
It appears to be.
I'm excited for your favorite scene.
You stole my favorite scene, woman.
Oh,
I'm gonna piggyback on your favorite scene.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say my favorite scene is when the monster's crawling up towards her on the ground.
Right in her face.
When that freaking spider creature from the Thing with the weird baby face.
Ugh, giant baby head.
Kind of like those the Cabbage Patch Babies when they show the face inside the cabbage. That's except if the cabbage was a flesh outlet
with teeth.
Like fangs, yes.
Yeah.
Teeth. And you don't really. The thing is that you initially don't see it until it drops in front of the booth, the confession booth. But when she's on that ground and she's like, and it's coming after her, over top of her, and you see that like, it's like, oh God, get this out of my brain. I don't want to ever see this again. Why did I love it and hate it at the same time. So I hate having to do that, but I just there's nothing more impactful, I think, than that thing so far. And it's like, oh crap, what other crazy stuff are they going to create for me to be haunted by?
Yeah.
And it makes me excited, and at the same time, am I going to have to sleep with the light on so that some big spider creature doesn't come and drool over me and eat my liver?
Eat your liver.
Like when she's cutting up liver and did she put milk in that? Was that what?
I think
So.
so.
She put milk in it, yeah.
Milk and blended it with liver.
Liver shake, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I ate his liver with some milk and Pediasure.
Not for the lactose intolerant. I enjoyed this as well. It hit all the right notes, right? It checked off all the right check boxes. It did everything right. It had great people. It had great actors. It had great story. It had great lead character. Oh my god, the Padre. I just love the look. I love his. He's such an anti-hero, right? Because he's not who you expect him to be. And I even like the sexual tension between our two leads. Because there's something going on there. He's feeling guilty because he's in the house for a reason. It's not just because he's there and alone with her. It's because there's something going on in your head, dude. There's just so much going on with this. It's throwing down a bunch of lore. It looks great. It's gory as all get out, and genuinely frightening. It was. I was really tense in a number of scenes. That the one scene, the favorite scene that we're picking, that everybody and I would pick it too, is White Knuckle. You're White Knuckle. It's just it might be just because she screams so great. She has big eyes that have the liner and everything. It's just like wow, the white eyes all the way around. You just feel the fear, and that really sells it. I'll go to 5 as well. Why not? Let's just do it. This is the genre has started off strong this year with some of the screens between this and Psycho Gorman and I love Shadow in the Cloud. I know that some people have been pooping on it, but I love it. It's been a good couple of weeks that way. Maybe not in other media things, but in that way it's been good. My favorite scene, I could easily go with another baby scene when he walks out from underneath whatever the hell he was.
Oh yeah,
because that was just disturbing. But I'm going to go from the second episode, and just because it was so well done, so shocking, and I know that it's going to freak a lot of people out, and that's the knife scene in the mouth. It was there was a lot of different ways that could go, and the way they did it was just so intentional and scary and gruesome, and then they didn't stop there, right? And that's what really kept it going, because then you got to see the mouth afterwards, and you thought the Joker was awful.
Well, you also have the scene right before that where she cuts her finger off, and you don't know it until you see it, and you're like, "Oh my god, this young girl's nuts."
It makes it so powerful because you can see how heartbroken the priest is too. The moment that she does it, he like, you can tell his heart is just dropping into his stomach because he's trying to do everything he can to keep that from happening, and just makes it such a powerful moment on top of being one of those ultimate like skin crawling kind of moments.
Yeah, and then he grabs her by the hand and walks her around town because he's got to play along.
Well, I don't know about you guys. There was like an Omen vibe, I think, with that second episode for some reason. Because I think when the guy gets hit by the car, it reminded me of the glass thing that goes through the guy's head. It kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
Chops his head off.
Oh my god, that poor little girl screaming her head off too. Again, it's the reactions, the people's reactions, either screaming or just knowing the dread, like in The Father with the scene that we're talking about. It's a really great show, and if you're not watching, you're missing out.
Yeah, don't use Ouija boards.
Don't use Ouija boards.
Kids,
please.
Because then you'll end up like these crazy people in episodes.
But if you want to, Chris returned a gift that is a Ouija board.
Yes, I didn't want it in my house.
So,
I like Stranger Things, but I don't care.
We might have one for a giveaway somewhere.
Yes, you can have it. I don't want it. I don't want that
It's so funny.
evil in my house.
So funny. All right, well, there you go. That's our review of the first 2 episodes of 30 Coins. It'll be interesting. I don't think we can cover each episode individually, but maybe we'll return when the season's over with episode 8 and kind of catch up with the rest of the episodes. See if it keeps up all the promise of the first 2. That would be interesting. So thank you all for listening. Christopher, Vanessa, thank you for joining me tonight. This was a really great discussion. Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad we could talk about this show. I'm glad that I recommended it so we could. Yeah, because I'm loving this, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Me too.
Absolutely. All right, let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Babies.